It's easy to get lost in a bidding hole on eBay because there's always something new to admire. But while most of us might stick to bidding on clothes, shoes, and accessories, some people are prepared to spend thousands or even millions of dollars on unusual items they've only ever seen through the screen. Make sure to stick around until the end to hear about the Russian billionaire who spent $168 million on an item that hadn't even been built yet. Before we dive into it, do you like videos full of interesting facts? Check out our friends over at Brainiac who are serving up freshly squeezed brain juice every week. We're going to throw you in at the deep end to start off this video because we're yet to find anything more ridiculous than this item. If that is, we can even call it an item. A man named Ian Usher was struggling in his life with no direction or idea of what he wanted from the future. So he decided to put his life in somebody else's hands by quite literally selling his life on eBay. How much is a life worth, you ask? Well, approximately $309,292. Ian reached the point of desperation after his wife left him and so auctioned his entire life, car, home, job, and friends on eBay in a midlife crisis that puts everyone else's to shame. But don't start to feel too sorry for Ian, because his plan might just have been the best thing he ever did. Once he'd sold off everything important, he took the proceeds and made a fresh start, traveling the world armed with nothing but a list of life goals. Nowadays, Ian lives on an idyllic 2.2-acre island off the coast of Panama and has learned French and how to fly a plane, met Sir Richard Branson, and scored a part in a Hollywood movie. Next, we'll move on to another crazy item sold on eBay for even more money. One Pennsylvania collector agreed in 2001 to pay $577,610 for shoeless Joe Jackson's bat, Black Betsy, one of sport's most fabled artifacts. If you're not a sporting fan, you might not hold this bat with the same level of regard as the collector.
I'll bet you it won't now. It won't.
But surprisingly, they weren't the only one to place a bid. In fact, there were two people bidding it out on eBay for the bat at a higher and higher cost as the seconds ticked by. The winning bid was made by Rob Mitchell, the owner of a marketing company in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Rather than framing the bat or placing it somewhere where it could be appreciated for its history as well as its value, he decided to display the bat in the company offices. The seller was a man called Lester Irwin, who kept the bat on a bookcase for decades after getting the 40-ounce bat from Jackson's wife, Katie, who was a cousin of Irwin's mother. This might seem like a high cost, but Rob was convinced he was getting a bargain.
I've come to bargain.
Now here's a story with a suspicious edge. In 2012, car fans went nuts for an abandoned Ferrari that had been left at an airport in Dubai. This wasn't just any old abandoned car, but one that came with $1 million price tag. The actual recommended retail price of the vehicle was significantly larger, which is why so many people were quick to jump online and bid for the car to become theirs. This specific type of car, the Ferrari Enzo, is one of the most expensive and fastest cars ever produced by the luxury Italian car maker. Made of carbon fiber, its top speed is 217 miles per hour. Only 400 Enzos were ever made, but at least 3 have run into bad luck. Depending on how superstitious you are, this might make you think twice about bidding. The government often holds auctions of abandoned Emirati cars due to the large amount left at airports in the region, but this one was more impressive than most. However, once people had caught sight of the listing, the car was taken off the site. It seemed that the car was being held back due to a possible connection with a crime. By now, you're probably wondering what sort of people would splash more than $1 million on something they've never seen in real life, but we're only just getting started. So next, let's move on to the anonymous buyer who spent a huge $1.1 million on a Honus Wagner baseball card. The Honus Wagner card is extremely rare.
Among baseball card collectors, it is known as the Holy Grail.
As production was halted when the ball player refused to grant permission to use his likeness. And so each time this famous card has passed hands, it's gained more and more value.
Got it. You needed it. Got it. Oh, I know you. Oh,
I need it, please.
The card previously sold in 2014 for $657,250 and again in 2016 for $776,750. And in May 2019, it sold for the even higher price of more than $1 million. The card was graded in just good to condition out of a possible 10 by Professional Sports Authenticator. This wasn't a factor that appeared to worry the anonymous buyer, despite the obvious surface wear and accelerated rounding on its corners. Forbes reported that just 75 cards are believed to exist of this type, so maybe it was a good investment piece after all. What do you think? We'll scale it down a little for this next ridiculous item because we're still breathing a sigh of relief that it didn't go ahead after all. We're talking about the Arkansas woman who listed an auction on eBay for the highest bidder to name her unborn child. We're not sure that's top of the list for good parenting. The unemployed mother of 6 posted an auction offering the opportunity to name her 7th child. And how much would it cost to name the baby? A minimum bid of $150. LaVon Drummond, the mother with the plan, said that she put the listing on eBay because, quote, "I'm running out of names," end quote. At first, eBay took the listing down, claiming it violated their guidelines. Unperturbed, LaVon relisted her item, if we can call it an item, 3 times, until eventually eBay seemingly stopped bothering to remove it. Naming her baby sold for $6,800, although the winner never actually went ahead and paid LaVon or named the baby after all. We wonder whether she splashed out on one of those baby books or whether she just asked someone in the street for the final choice. Oh, there's no end for what people will do for money, but you might not feel quite so sorry for this next person who decided they'd make a quick $1 or $10,000 by selling ad space on their forehead. We know what you're thinking. Surely this was a terrible idea? Yep, we completely agree. As did the tattoo studio who were given the task of completing the service. By now, you're probably wondering about the finer details of this story. Caroline Smith wasn't the first case of someone offering their body for permanent advertising, but she was the first and is probably the only person with goldenpalace.com tattooed on her forehead. The final bid went to the online casino who paid Caroline $15,000 to get their URL tattooed on her face. She claimed that she did it to raise funds for her son's private education by saying, "I really want to do this." To everyone else, it seems like a stupid thing to do. To me, this money is like $1 million. I only live once, and I'm doing it for my son. It's a small sacrifice to build a better future for my son. Someone really needs to sit down and have a chat with goldenpalace.com's finance manager, because that wasn't the only unusual thing that the company bidded for on eBay. This company also spent $28,000 on a grilled cheese sandwich via eBay bidding. And not just any old grilled cheese, but one that was more than a decade old. You're probably struggling to see the appeal here, and so are we. But there was a certain novelty to this item. The grilled cheese had one unique feature. It was said to bear an image of the Virgin Mary on its surface. Diane Dicer, the previous owner of the sandwich, said that she noticed the image burned into her sandwich as she was about to tuck into it in autumn 1994. She said that she did nothing to preserve the sandwich except keep it in a plastic box before deciding to put it up for auction in 2004. GoldenPalace.com said it would take the sandwich on a world tour before selling it and donating the money to charity. We can't imagine that many people were desperate to buy it though. Feeling hungry? How much would you be willing to pay for lunch? What about if it was a lunch with Warren Buffett? While you're figuring out exactly how much you'd spend on dining with this man, we'll put your top bid to shame by telling you that one person spent $3.3 million on that exact lunch. We'd expect all of the food to be gold-plated for that sort of number. However, this lunch wasn't auctioned off to fill Warren's already stuffed pockets, but instead for charity. Over the years, Warren's charity lunches have raised almost $26 million, according to information provided by eBay for Charity. The winner can bring up to 7 friends for the lunch at Smith & Wollensky Steakhouse in New York City. Bidding for the 2018 lunch began at $25,000 and kept climbing until it hit the $3 million mark, when eventually everyone else gave up. Wondering where all of that money goes to, if not Warren? In actual fact, it's sent to Glide, an anti-poverty organization in San Francisco, California. So while it might arguably be the most expensive lunch in the world, it's all for a good cause. You might be familiar with people listing their properties or land for sale on eBay, but it's a whole other story over in the city of Bridgeville, California. This city is privately owned and looked to remain in the hands of the seller until he listed the city online. That's right, the entire city of Bridgeville was put up for sale. Bridgeville is an out-of-the-way place with 30 or so residents and not a single restaurant, bar, or business of any sort. So it wasn't quite like buying New York City or another city of that scale. It first became famous in 2002 when its owners, a family known as the Lapples, offered it for sale on eBay with a $775,000 minimum bid. And the lack of resources didn't put buyers off. The family advertised Bridgeville as a private retreat basking in the glory of the redwoods, and it called it a possible economic powerhouse with the potential for generating a large cash flow. That might sound like a lot of realtor talk to you, but bidding rose to $1.8 million before falling through at the last minute. And now we'll end this video by showing you the most expensive thing to ever be listed on eBay as of June 2019. And this was another item bought online before the bidder even saw what it looked like. Because when Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich clicked bid on his $168 million Giga yacht, it hadn't even been built yet. Isn't that crazy? Back in 2006, the yacht was listed on eBay with Florida Fort Lauderdale's 4-yacht brokerage firm. This 405-foot mega yacht was designed by naval architect Frank Mulder and included a 3,000 square foot master suite on the main deck and 10 multi-level VIP suites with panoramic windows. As well as that, there were 8 guest rooms, a children's cabin, a gym, office area, and movie theater. And we can't forget to mention the spa, retractable glass elevator, jet stream swimming pool, and helicopter pad. When it was first listed on eBay, however, the yacht had yet to be made and delivery was set for some future date. Only one person made a bid before Abramovich, and it was for a mere $10. It seems like he could have grabbed a bargain here, but what's a few extra $1 million when you're a billionaire? Did you like this video? Our friends at Brainiac present all the amazing facts that you wish you learned in school, from how-tos to survival tips for every situation imaginable. It's just perfect for showing off your knowledge and flexing your intelligence on your friends and coworkers. It's hilarious content you won't want to miss. And that's all for 10 most ridiculous expensive things sold on the internet. Did you see any of these items up for sale? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to The Richest, and join our notification squad. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.